Do you know the truth that nobody tells you? That the anxiety, fear, and despair that paralyze you don't come from outside. They are born from your own uncontrolled mind. While you're drowning in worries, there are people facing the same problems, perhaps even worse ones, and they keep going as if nothing could bring them down. And the difference isn't luck, it isn't privilege, it isn't that these people are special. The difference is that they learned something Machiavelli taught centuries ago, and that still holds true today. True power isn't in controlling the world around you, it's in mastering the world within you. Most people spend their entire lives reacting, explaining themselves, seeking approval, showing every emotion, panicking at the first difficulty. And then they wonder why nothing changes, why the anxiety doesn't go away, why the fear always returns. Here's the answer you won't hear anywhere else. You are a slave to your own reactions. But what if I told you there's a different path? A path where you don't have to pretend you're okay, but also don't have to collapse with every storm. Where you feel everything, but nothing controls you. In the next few minutes, you'll learn the 7 principles that separate those who live tormented from those who live in absolute control. And I'm warning you, this goes against everything you've been taught about being authentic and vulnerable. Because the truth is that self-mastery isn't cruelty to yourself. It's the greatest form of freedom that exists. So if you're tired of living on an emotional roller coaster, if you're exhausted from feeling like everyone and everything has power over you, stay with me until the end. Because when you finish watching this, you'll either have found the key to your own prison, or you'll continue pretending the bars don't exist. If something inside you awakened while listening, don't ignore that feeling. This channel isn't about videos. It's about memories. Remember who you were before the fear, before the exhaustion, before the silence. Each new video here is a different reflection of your own soul, an invitation to understand what the world never taught you. The power you seek outside has always been within you. If you feel that this journey speaks to what lives silently within you, sign up now. Not to follow yet another creator, but to reconnect with something the world tried to make you forget. Because here, every word was made to heal, each reflection to awaken, and each video serves as a reminder, you are not alone on the path back to yourself. Click on subscribe and turn the algorithm into a daily reminder of who you really are. You know that feeling when the world is on fire and you're right in the middle of the flames? Yeah. Everyone's been through that. The question is, will you turn to ashes, or will you become the person who walks calmly while everything collapses around you? The truth nobody tells you is that peace has never been about what happens outside. It's always been about what you build inside. Machiavelli understood this better than anyone. In a politics guided by reality, not ideals, whoever keeps a cool head while everyone else loses theirs is the one who truly governs. It's not about denying the chaos. It's about becoming the only fixed point in the midst of the storm. Have you noticed that the most powerful people never seem shaken? It's not because they don't feel, it's because they've developed something most will never have: absolute control over their reactions. While others scream, despair, and make idiotic decisions driven by panic, those who have found this inner peace simply observe, calculate, and act at the right moment. It's like that chess player who already knows 3 moves ahead while the opponent is still sweating bullets trying to save the king. Now, let's talk about something that goes against everything you've been taught. Don't run away from difficult moments. Face them head on. Most people spend their entire lives avoiding discomfort, running away from tense situations, looking for the easiest way out. And guess what? They get weaker and weaker. It's like never working out and expecting to have muscles. It makes no sense. Decisions based on real human nature show that human beings only grow when they are pressured, when they are put against the wall and need to choose between collapsing or becoming stronger. Think of that guy who lost everything, his job, his family, his dignity, and instead of giving up, he used that as fuel to be reborn stronger. This isn't cheap motivational talk, it's the naked truth about how character is forged. Chaos isn't your enemy, it's your most brutal and efficient teacher. When you stop running away and start facing it, something changes inside you. You realize you survived, that you endured, that you are more resilient than you imagined. And this discovery is addictive. The great secret that separates those with real power from those who only pretend to have it is simple. Those who remain calm when everyone else loses their temper dominate the room without saying a word. It's not about being cold or insensitive. It's about having so much control that your emotions work for you, not against you. Constant adaptability is the mark of those who understand the game. You can't control the storm, but you can control whether you'll be swept away by it or use it to your advantage. Chaos only destroys those who try to fight it like a drunken boxer, punching the air. But those who understand that chaos is just another variable in the equation become untouchable. Imagine being in a meeting where everyone is shouting, pointing fingers, losing their composure. And you're there, quiet, observing. Not because you don't care, but because you know that whoever speaks less at that moment has more power. It's this frightening calm that makes people respect you without you needing to shout for respect. And when you finally open your mouth, everyone stops to listen, because silence followed by calculated action is the language of those who truly rule. But then a question arises. How do you maintain that control when everything inside you wants to explode? Have you ever noticed how the loudest people are rarely the most powerful? They talk, trying to convince everyone, and especially themselves, that they are important. Meanwhile, those who truly hold power remain quiet, observing. Silence is power, not emptiness. This is a truth Machiavelli knew well. In the politics guided by reality, not ideals, those who talk too much give away their cards prematurely. It's like playing poker and showing your hand to your opponent. You've already lost before you even begin. Silence isn't about having nothing to say. It's about choosing with surgical precision when and how to speak. Think of that CEO who enters a tense meeting, sits down, crosses his arms, and simply listens for 20 minutes while everyone else is fighting. When he finally opens his mouth, one sentence from him is worth more than 1,000 words from the others. Why? Because he transformed silence into authority. While the others wasted ammunition, he was carrying the most powerful weapon in the room, and everyone felt it in the air, that pleasant tension of, what is he thinking? Here's a bombshell that will blow your mind. The less you reveal, the more others imagine and fear. The human mind has a fantastic flaw. It fills in the empty spaces with its own fears. When you say nothing, people start creating versions of you in their heads. And guess what? These versions are almost always more impressive than reality. Mystery is power. Those who say nothing force others to guess. It's like that guy at your company that nobody knows exactly what he does, but everyone respects. He doesn't explain himself. He doesn't prove his worth. He simply exists, and people assume he's important. That's a calculated use of force without expending a drop of energy. Decisions based on real human nature show that people will always fear the unknown more than the known. A dog barking behind a closed gate is more frightening than a dog barking loose in the street, because you don't know its size, you don't know if it will jump, you don't know anything. Silence works exactly like that. You become the dog behind the gate, and everyone imagines the worst. It is better to be feared than loved, as Machiavelli himself would say. But there's more. Silence trains discipline and patience, two virtues that nobody has anymore in this era of instant answers and 15-second stories. When you learn to be quiet, you learn to control that desperate impulse to react to everything and everyone. It's like mental weight training. Every time you hold your tongue when you're dying to respond, you get stronger. Virtù and fortuna work together here. You develop the ability, virtù, to control your mouth, and this puts you in favorable positions, fortuna, because you don't waste your power on idiotic arguments. Think about it this way. You're in a situation where someone provokes you, tests you, throws a passive-aggressive comment. The person wants a reaction. They're waiting for you to explode or justify yourself. And you, nothing. You look, give a half smile, and continue doing what you were doing. Man, that destroys the person because they spent energy trying to get you upset and you didn't even blink. You just won without playing. Constant adaptability also comes into play here. There's a time to speak, a time to be silent, and knowing how to differentiate between those times is what separates the weak from the strong. But what about when everyone expects you to speak? What about when silence can be interpreted as weakness? Let's talk about one of the most subtle and dangerous prisons that exist, the need for approval. Most people live their entire lives like trained puppies, performing tricks in the hope of getting a pat on the head. And you know what the saddest part is? They don't even realize they're trapped. Approval is a leash disguised as praise. Every time you change who you are to receive a well done from someone, you give away a piece of your power. Machiavelli knew this better than anyone. In a politics guided by reality, not ideals, whoever depends on the opinion of others will never truly govern. They will only manage the expectations of others. It's like being a pretend president, the one who signs the papers but doesn't actually make the decisions. Think of that guy who changes his mind depending on who's in the room, who laughs at jokes he doesn't find funny, who agrees with everything just to avoid conflict. This guy might even be well-liked, but powerful. Never. Because everyone knows, even unconsciously, that he's manipulable. And easily manipulated people don't inspire respect. They inspire contempt disguised as cordiality. Here's the paradox that will turn your brain inside out. The more you seek validation, the easier it is to control. It's basic social math. When someone knows you need their approval, they have the remote control of your life in their hands. They press a button, I like this about you, and you dance. They press another, I didn't like that, and you change direction like a weather vane on a windy day. The end justifies the means. And in this case, the end for some people is precisely to keep you on this emotional hamster wheel, always chasing crumbs of approval. Decisions based on real human nature reveal something terrifying. People don't respect those they can easily control. It's cruel, but it's true. You can be the nicest person in the world, do everything right, please everyone, and still be seen as weak. Why? Because you're telling the world, I need you to feel valid. And the world, being the sadistic place it is, will use that against you. Think about that employee who works overtime without complaining, accepts any task, and never says no. He thinks he's building a good image, but what is he really building? A reputation as a doormat. And doormats are useful, but they never get promoted. Now comes the good part, the twist. Detachment naturally attracts respect. When you stop needing it, you start receiving it. It's almost magical how it works. Those who don't need approval become magnetic. Why? Because rarity has value. Everyone needs approval. Everyone is begging for attention on social media. Everyone is desperate for likes, comments, validation. Then you appear, genuinely not caring, and people are fascinated. It's like that person who enters a party, greets everyone politely, but doesn't try to be the center of attention. And precisely for that reason, everyone wants to talk to them. Avoiding being hated is different from seeking to be loved. You don't need to be adored by everyone. You just need not to depend on anyone's adoration. The appearance of virtue also comes into play here. You don't need to prove you're virtuous. You just need to be and let others reach their own conclusions. Calculated use of force means using your indifference strategically, not being cold to everyone all the time, but clearly demonstrating that your inner peace doesn't depend on external opinion. Imagine receiving harsh criticism, and instead of desperately defending yourself, you simply say, "Interesting, I'll think about it," and move on with your life. The person who criticized you is left in limbo, unsure if it affected you or not. And you? You feel lighter because you didn't take it as absolute truth. But does that mean becoming a stone, someone without empathy or human connection? There's a huge, costly misconception people have, thinking confidence and composure are the same thing. They're not. Confidence can be faked, composure cannot. You know those people who speak loudly, gesture excessively, brag, and try to dominate the conversation? That's confidence, or at least a desperate attempt to appear confident. Now think about that person who enters a tense environment, sits down, takes a deep breath, and simply exists there, occupying their space without asking permission or apologizing. That's composure. The difference? One you buy at a cheap self-help store, the other you forge in the fire of the most difficult situations in your life. Machiavelli understood that in a politics guided by reality, not ideals, the appearance of control is worth as much as real control, but only if it's genuine. You can feign confidence with a puffed-out chest and a firm voice, but composure, it oozes from your pores, from the way you breathe, the way you look, the way you wait. It's a silent authority that never disappears, even when you're down. It's that feeling of this person has seen worse that emanates without a word being spoken. Here's something nobody tells you. Staying calm under pressure is more intimidating than brute force. Why? Because brute force is predictable, it's animalistic, it's instinct. Anyone can yell, bang on the table, threaten. But to stand there serene while hell unfolds around you, that's a whole different ballgame. Decisions based on real human nature show that people are afraid of what they don't understand, and someone calm in the midst of chaos is a walking enigma. It's like that movie where the protagonist is surrounded by enemies, and instead of breaking out in a cold sweat, he smiles and says something like, "You brought too few people." That's not just confidence, it's composure. It's the inner certainty that whatever happens, you'll handle it. Think about that meeting where the project failed. The client is furious, everyone is pointing fingers, and there's someone who, instead of despairing, simply breathes, organizes their thoughts, and starts presenting solutions with the same calm as someone choosing an ice cream flavor. That person has just become the most powerful person in the room, because everyone else showed their weaknesses and they didn't. Better to be feared than loved works perfectly here. You don't need to be liked at that moment. You need to be respected. And respect is born from dominance. And there's more, something that will completely change how you face challenges. Composure is the highest form of defense. It's not escape, it's not denial. It's the recognition that reacting emotionally will only worsen the situation. Virtue and Fortuna meet here again. You develop the ability to maintain composure, virtù, and this puts you at an advantage when luck turns against you, fortuna, because while others panic, you're thinking clearly. Calculated use of force means you save emotional energy for the moments that really matter. You don't waste it all on the first provocation or the first problem. It's like an experienced fighter who doesn't waste punches, who waits for the right opening, who knows that whoever tires first loses. Constant adaptability also comes into play. You maintain composure not because you are hard or inflexible, but precisely because you are flexible enough not to break in the wind. Think of it this way: a rigid tree breaks in a storm, but bamboo bends and survives. Composure is that bamboo. You feel the impact, you move with it, but you don't break. And when it's all over, you're still standing while the rigid ones have been turned to firewood. But what about when emotions come rushing in, so intense they seem impossible to control? Here's one of the biggest misunderstandings about power and control. People think being strong means feeling nothing, becoming a kind of emotional robot. That's a lie. The truth is much more interesting and dangerous. Don't be emotionless, be incorruptible. There's a huge difference between not feeling and not showing. Those who don't feel are empty. Those who don't show are strategic. Machiavelli knew that the appearance of virtue is worth more than virtue itself, not because he was cynical, but because he understood that the world judges by what it sees, not by what is. So you feel everything: anger, frustration, joy, fear, euphoria. You let these emotions course through your body. You recognize them, you accept them. But when it comes time to show it, that's when you strategically choose what to reveal and when. It's like playing cards. You might have an incredible straight in your hand, but if you smile and celebrate, everyone will notice and change their strategy. Now, if you maintain the same blank expression, even with a pair of twos or a real straight, you become unpredictable. And unpredictable people are dangerous, in a good way. Decisions based on real human nature show that people are constantly trying to read you, looking for loopholes, trying to figure out your buttons to push when it's convenient. Listen here. Pay attention to this bombshell. Transform emotion into intelligence. This is pure gold. When you feel anger, instead of exploding and doing something stupid, you stop and ask, why am I angry? What is this telling me? What useful thing can I do with this energy? When you feel fear, instead of running away or freezing, you analyze fear of what exactly? Is it real or imaginary? How can I use this warning to my advantage? It's like turning lead into gold, but with feelings. The end justifies the means. And in this case, the end is for you to have total control over your reactions while maintaining the emotional depth that makes you human. When you show your emotions, you hand over the keys to being controlled. It's cruel, but it's real. That toxic boss who knows exactly how to make you nervous, they can only do that because you've shown them 1,000 times what drives you crazy. That manipulative person who always knows which button to push. They have a complete map of your reactions because you gave them that map for free. Think of that professional poker player. He might have the best or worst hand. He might be confident or nervous, but his face, always the same, always unreadable. Why? Because he understands that every expression is information, and information is power. Now for the icing on the cake, the point that separates amateurs from masters, feeling deeply but remaining calm, is mastery. It's not coldness, it's not absence, it's total presence with absolute control. Virtue comes into play here with force. It's the ability to govern oneself before trying to govern anything external. You're in a heated discussion, someone attacks you personally, brings up that subject you know hurts. Inside, there's a volcano wanting to erupt. But on the outside, you breathe, count to 3 mentally, and respond with frightening calm. This isn't denying what you feel, it's having so much self-control that you choose when and how to express yourself. Calculated use of force means you don't expend all your emotional ammunition in the first battle. You save it, you wait for the moment when your response will have maximum impact. Avoiding being hated also has its place here. When you don't react explosively, people can't use you as the villain in their story. They run out of material. Constant adaptability means recognizing that there are times when showing emotion is strategic. A genuine tear at the right moment, a calculated smile, an expression of sincere concern. But the key word is choice. You are not dominated by emotions, you dominate them. But then the question arises, what happens when someone provokes you precisely to see if you react? Have you ever noticed how some people are like gunpowder with a short fuse? The slightest thing and boom, they explode. And you know what that reveals? Pure weakness. Every reaction is a confession of what controls you. When you react instantly to a provocation, a comment, a situation, you're basically shouting to the world, "Look at my weak point. Press it again if you want to see me dance." It's pathetic when you stop to think about it. Machiavelli understood that in a politics guided by reality, not by ideals, whoever lets themselves be controlled by circumstances will never control the circumstances. It's like being a boat adrift. You don't choose where you go, the waves choose for you. Decisions based on real human nature show that reacting is the easiest thing in the world. Any animal does it. You poke a dog, it barks. You mess with a cat, it scratches. But a developed human being, they stop, process, understand, and only then act, if they deem it necessary. Imagine that person in traffic who cuts you off, you honk. They make an obscene gesture, you get angry, accelerate to retaliate, and almost cause an accident. Congratulations, you just proved that a stranger has more control over you than you do yourself. This stranger doesn't even know your name, but managed to hijack your emotions and make you dance to their tune. Now let's look at the other side of the coin, where true strength lies. Understanding gives power and choice. Reacting is slavery. When you understand, you move from the victim position to the position of strategic observer. For example, someone harshly criticizes you at work in front of everyone. The weak mind reacts, shouts, defends itself, goes into attack mode, creates a drama. The strong mind understands. Why did this person do that? Insecurity, an attempt to promote themselves by belittling me. Are they afraid of losing ground? Suddenly you're no longer offended. You're analyzing. And when you analyze, you find the true motives, the true weaknesses of the other person. The end justifies the means, and the end here is for you to remain in control while the other person gives in. Virtue comes into play here strongly. It's the ability to transform each situation into learning about human behavior. You become like a social scientist in real time, studying reactions, motivations, patterns. And knowledge is power. It always has been. Calculated use of force means you don't waste energy reacting. You invest energy in understanding, and understanding gives you the arsenal to act later if you want, but surgically. Think of that CEO who receives public criticism, and instead of desperately defending himself on Twitter, he simply keeps working and lets the results speak for themselves. He understood that criticism from those who aren't in the game is worth less than nothing. And here comes the masterstroke, the move no one expects. Silence after a provocation is dominance, not evasion. People get confused. They think that if you didn't react, it's because you're weak, because you didn't have a response. Wrong. Totally wrong. When you don't react to a provocation, you're saying something much more powerful than any response. You're not important enough to alter my internal state. This destroys the person who provoked you in a way that no verbal fight could. Better to be feared than loved works perfectly here. You don't need to prove anything. You simply exist above the drama. Those who understand become untouchable and illegible. Why? Because when you understand the motivations behind others' actions, you stop taking things personally. You realize that the attack isn't about you, it's about the internal pain of the attacker. An appearance of virtue also comes into play. When you don't react, the people around you perceive your maturity, your control, your strength, even without you needing to explain anything. Constant adaptability means knowing when it's worthwhile to respond and when silence is the best answer. Imagine receiving a huge text message from someone attacking you, full of accusations and venom. And you read the message and don't respond. Or you respond days later with a simple, "Okay, I understand your point." The person on the other side goes crazy because they expected a war and you delivered indifference. But there's a danger in all this. Is explaining never a valid option? Let's get straight to the point with a painful truth. Constantly explaining yourself reveals uncertainty. Every time you feel that desperate need to justify your actions, your choices, your decisions, you're basically saying, I need your approval to feel valid in what I did. And guess what? People sense that. They may not verbalize it, but subconsciously they register, this person needs validation, therefore they are unsure of their own path. Machiavelli knew that in a politics guided by reality, not ideals, those who explain too much impose themselves little. It's like that leader who makes a decision and spends half an hour justifying why they made that decision. They're not leading, they're asking for retroactive permission. Decisions based on real human nature show that people respect those who act with conviction much more, even if they disagree, than those who act and then spend their time explaining themselves like a defendant in court. Think of that father or mother who says no to their child, and that's it, end of story. There's no because of this, no because of that for 10 minutes. The no alone carries more authority than 1,000 explanations. Why? Because explanation opens up space for negotiation, for argumentation, for doubt. A firm no is like a wall. You may not like the wall, but you know it's there and it's not going to move. Here's something that will completely change your game. Silence creates hierarchy and mystery. When you don't explain yourself, you automatically place yourself on a higher level. It's not arrogance, it's strategic positioning. The appearance of virtue works perfectly here. People will assume you have good reasons, even without knowing them. The end justifies the means, and in this case the means are mystery and the end is automatic respect. Think of that teacher who never justifies grades, just gives them, or that judge who sentences without lengthy explanations, or that businessman who decides and implements without a consensus meeting. There's a weight, a gravity in these figures that doesn't exist in those who constantly explain themselves. Calculated use of force means you save your explanations for strategic moments. It's not about never explaining, it's about choosing when explaining is worthwhile. Virtù and Fortuna meet again. You develop the ability to feel comfortable without explaining, Virtù, and this puts you in positions of greater influence, Fortuna, because people stop questioning you all the time. It's like that effect of, if she's not explaining, it must be because she doesn't need to, because it's obvious to her, because she's on a level I'm not. And boom, you've created a hierarchy without saying a word. And now for the part that will really open your eyes. People don't want truth, they want comfort. This one hurts, but it's true. Most of the time, when someone asks you to explain something, it's not because they truly want to understand. It's because they want to see you justify yourself. They want to find a loophole. They want to feel superior by questioning your logic. So when you over-explain, you're not clarifying, you're putting yourself in a position to be judged. Avoiding being hated comes into play here in an interesting way. When you don't explain, people don't have material to specifically disagree with. They may not like your decision, but without your arguments laid out, they can't dismantle them. Those who don't explain become unpredictable and dominant. Why? Because predictability is weakness. When people know how you think, how you justify, what your criteria are, they can manipulate all of that. But when you simply act, decide, exist without constantly giving explanations, you become a variable that no one can completely control. Constant adaptability also appears. There are times when a brief and surgical explanation solves everything, and times when silence is golden. Knowing how to differentiate is key. Imagine you leaving a job, and when asked why, you simply say, "It was time to move on," and don't elaborate. People will speculate, they will create theories, they will seek you out wanting to know more. You became interesting precisely because you didn't give everything away on a silver platter. You maintained the power of the narrative. And now, after all this, the final reflection remains. Will you continue to be an open book, or will you begin to be a work that needs to be deciphered? So that's it. You've just received 7 principles that most people will go their whole lives without knowing. Now comes the part that really matters. What are you going to do with this? Because information without action is just entertainment. And I'm not here to entertain you, I'm here to transform you. Let me ask you something very direct. How many times this week did you react instead of understanding? How many times did you explain yourself when you should have stayed quiet? How many times did you hand over your power on a silver platter because you needed approval? Be honest with yourself. The truth hurts, but it also sets you free. You have 2 options from now on. Either you go back to autopilot, continue being a hostage to your emotions, to other people's opinions, to external chaos, or you start today, right now, to build that self-mastery that separates those who command from those who obey. And don't come to me with excuses like, oh, but it's difficult, or oh, but it's not who I am. What's difficult is living anxiously, afraid, desperate. What's difficult is waking up every day without control of your own life. Implementing these principles, this is work, but it's work that liberates. So I want you to choose one, just one, of these 7 principles and start applying it today. It could be staying calm in a situation that would normally drive you crazy. It could be remaining silent when your first reaction would be to explain or defend yourself. It could simply be observing your emotions without letting them overwhelm you. Start small, but start, because mastery isn't built all at once, it's built every day, one decision at a time. And answer me here in the comments. Which of these 7 principles impacted you the most? Which one do you most need to work on in your life right now? I want to know, because this dialogue continues. If you've made it this far, you've already proven that you're different from most who give up halfway through. So don't stop now. Subscribe to the channel and activate the notification bell, because all the content I bring here is to take you out of mediocrity and put you on the path to true power. The kind that no one can take away from you, because it comes from within. See you in the next video. And remember, you are not the victim of the storm, you are the center of it.